Hello, folks. Today we're doing lesson 60. It's a review session for lessons 46 through 50, but it's lesson 60. It's 5 paragraphs long. We'll do 1 paragraph at a time, and we'll go from there, and I'll go ahead and read the first one. Number 1, this is a review of lesson 46. God is the love in which I forgive. Hello, Christina. Lesson 60. God does, hi. God does not forgive because he has never condemned. The blameless cannot blame, and those who have accepted their innocence see nothing to forgive. Yet forgiveness is the means by which I will recognize my innocence. It is the reflection of God's love on earth. It will bring me near enough to heaven that the love of God can reach down to me and raise me up to him. End of paragraph 1. Okay, a few points. All right, paragraph 1, sentence 1. God does not forgive because he has never condemned. And so anytime the Course in Miracles tries to describe something that God does or how he behaves, my recommendation is to try to behave as God behaves. Okay? So if it says God does not forgive because he has never condemned, practice, at least for 1 day, practice not condemning. Okay? Which sounds simple enough, but it's not simple enough to the ego. But in sentence number 1, paragraph 1, just practice being as God is. And if you find yourself having to forgive, then the only reason you're finding yourself having to forgive is because you condemned. And if you condemned, then you're not thinking like God thinks. Oh, Luna, lesson number 60.
Thank you.
Yes. Paragraph 1, sentence 3. The blameless cannot blame, and those who have accepted their innocence see nothing to forgive. Okay, so if you focus on who you truly are, which is innocence, because we are all one, right? So the only way to truly see yourself is to see yourself in all others. So if you don't see yourself as innocent, you're not going to see anybody else as innocent. Or you might see some other people as innocent, but there's parts of you that you will not give that mercy and grace to. And so if you practice seeing everyone as innocent, then that will reinforce in you that you are also innocent. And so use those interactions with other people to reinforce who you truly are and want to be. Okay. Paragraph 1, sentence 4. And yet forgiveness is the means by which I will recognize my innocence. And so if all else fails, practice forgiveness. And so if you cannot see people as innocent because the ego is not allowing you to, if you're condemning others because the ego is kind of demanding condemnation and you're just buying into it, the last thing you can do is just practice forgiveness. So maybe you cannot practice non-judgment because the ego is not allowing you to, because the ego is saying that other people are not worthy of your non-judgment. And if you cannot look at another being without judgment, then you just look at them with forgiveness. It's not the same thing, in case anybody's wondering. Different levels there. Let's see. Paragraph 1, sentence 6. It will bring me near enough to heaven that the love of God can reach down to me. Okay. And so here, it will bring me near enough to heaven. That means it will bring you in alignment with the mind of God. That the love of God can reach down to me and raise me up to him. And so the whole idea is to try to think like God thinks. And so in today's exercise, which is lesson 60, and there's 5 parts to it, the first part is just try to think like God thinks. It's telling you here how God is thinking. God is thinking through the act of non-judgment. And so do that, and you'll be aligned with the mind of God. Any comments or questions on paragraph 1? No? All right. Would somebody like to read paragraph 2?
Go ahead. Go ahead. God is a strength in which I trust. It is not my own strength through which I forgive. It is through the strength of God in me, which I am remembering as I forgive. As I begin to see, I recognize His reflection on earth. I forgive all things because I feel the stirring of His strength in me. And I begin to remember the love I chose to forget, but which has not forgotten me.
All right. There's a lot of good points in today's lesson. And if you can clarify them in your mind, you can carry them with you throughout the day. So let's continue here. It's paragraph 2, sentence 1. It is not my own strength through which I forgive. Okay, so don't use your strength to forgive other people. Okay? Practice using God's strength. It's just kind of like a practice. Say, okay, I'm not going to allow the ego to decide who is worthy of forgiveness. I'm just going to allow God to forgive everybody for me. Okay? And so by doing that, you align with God and you allow God to guide your path. So you don't have to have any kind of strength to forgive somebody else. Just allow God to forgive them for you. And that's part of paragraph 2, sentence 1. Find true strength. And true strength is when you're aligned with the mind of God. When you're allowing God to flow through you, and when you're allowing God to see you see through His eyes, and you define the world as He would define the world. That's when you're aligned with your true strength. Let's see. Paragraph 2, sentence 4. As I begin to see, I recognize His reflection on earth. Okay. So when you see as God sees, everyone is worthy of forgiveness. And so see God in everyone. Practice this, making this little point. It's a point. Roberta's lesson 60. We're in paragraph 2, lesson 60, paragraph 2.
Thank you.
Yes, and it's sentence 4. As I begin to see, I recognize His reflection on earth. Okay, so another practice you can do is don't look through your eyes. Don't practice seeing through your eyes, but practice making it appear that God's eyes are your eyes. Okay, so see through God's eyes. Don't see through your eyes. Make a conscious decision. Okay, I am going to see my brother through God's eyes right now, not through my own eyes. God, can you please explain to me how to look upon this person? Hello, Kitty. It's lesson 60, and we're doing paragraph 2.
Thank you.
Yes. And so it's paragraph 2, sentence 4. As I begin to see, I recognize His reflection on earth. And so if you make a conscious decision to see through God's eyes, then you see Him reflected on everyone. Okay? So how would you like to walk through your day and just see God everywhere and everyone? That's what this line is inviting you to do. See through love's lens, and you'll see Christ in everyone, God in everyone, love in everyone. Paragraph 2, sentence 6. And I begin to remember the love I choose to forget, but which is not forgotten me. And I begin to remember the love I chose to forget. Okay. Love is who you are. Okay. And so when you're aligned with the mind of God, you'll always remember who you truly are, which is that love. When you find yourself in some sort of judgment, that simply means that you've forgotten who you truly are. Okay, you're frustrated, that means you forgot who you truly are. You're resentful, that means you forgot who you truly are. You're angry, that means you forgot who you truly are. You're hateful, that means you forgot who you truly are, etc., etc. Fearful, anxious, doubtful, all those are simply symbols that you have forgotten who you truly are. Okay? Don't punish yourself for forgetting who you truly are, because that's what the ego wants you to do. The ego wants you to forget who you truly are and then punish yourself for forgetting who you truly are. Okay? That's the ego's little sick dance. Don't dance with the ego. Okay? Just remember, no matter what the ego says to you, answer it with love. So, ego, I'm not playing this game today. I'm going to answer everything with love, period. End of story. And story in quotes. Okay? So what if you answered everything today with love, no matter what? If you told yourself over and over, no matter what happens in this interaction, I'm going to answer with love. No matter what somebody says, I'm going to answer with love. No matter what somebody does, I'm going to answer with love. And when you do so, you reflect the heavenly mindset on earth. And when you do so, when you reflect the heavenly mindset on earth, you fulfill your mission as the light of the world, which God created you to be. And then you feel fulfilled. Okay. Any comments or questions on paragraph 2? These are all little points, but if you get them, they're going to be very extremely useful to you in life. Hello, Isabel, lesson 60. And we're going to start
Yes, thank you.
paragraph 3 soon.
Sure, thank you.
Any comments or questions on paragraph 2? All right. Would somebody like to read paragraph 3?
I'll read it.
Thank you.
Paragraph 3, there is nothing to fear. How safe the world will look to me when I can see it. It will not look anything like what I imagine I see now. Everyone and everything I see will lean toward me to bless me. I will recognize in everyone my dearest friend. What could there be to fear in a world that I have forgiven and that has forgiven me?
Beautiful, right? There is nothing to fear. And if you just bought into that, then your world will change. There's nothing to fear, because only the love of God is real and true. And so what if, just for one day, trust that there's nothing to fear. No matter what the ego says, no matter what the ego demands, trust there's nothing to fear. And what is fear? Fear is any emotion or energy that's not love, right? But any energy or emotion that's not love is what? It's not real, right? Because love is God and all, right? And what is the opposite of all? It's nothing. And so there's nothing to fear, because fear itself is not real or true. And here it says, paragraph 3, sentence 1, how safe the world will look to me when I can see it. Okay? When you could truly see it. Now when you can see it through the eyes that you've been programmed to see the world. No, see it as it truly is. As a reflection of God on earth. Because if God is all, everything is a reflection of God. Okay, no matter what the ego says about person A, B, or C, he or she is the reflection of God. And you will only see them as they truly are when you choose to see the world as it truly is, not as you've been programmed to see it. Okay? It will not look anything like what I imagine I see now. Everyone and everything I will see will lean towards me and bless me. Okay? So imagine two worlds, okay? Imagine the world that's truly there, and then imagine the dream world. Imagine your own dreams and how real they appear to be when you're dreaming them, right? Your dreams appear to be so real. You're buying into them as real, right? When you're dreaming them. And then all of a sudden you wake up and that dream was never there. It disappears, right? And so you see there's a world that you've been programmed to see, which is the dream world. And then there's a world as it truly is. But that world can only be seen through God's eyes, through love's lens. Okay? So are you awake or are you asleep? Are you loving the world or are you judging it? Judgment is a symbol that you're asleep. Loving the world is a symbol that you're awake. Are you fearing the world or are you at peace in the world? Fear, anxiousness, doubt, worry are symbols that you're asleep. Don't punish anybody else for being fearful or worried or anxious. It's just a symbol that you're asleep to who you truly are. You want to remain asleep or do you want to wake up? If you're judging a brother or sister, you're asleep. If you're using non-judgment, you're awake. And so the world you see when awakening will be completely different to the world you see while asleep. Everyone and everything will lean forward towards you and bless you. All strangers will become brothers, and God's voice will speak to you through everyone. Okay? So when you're listening through God's ears, everything somebody tells you is something that can be useful in your growth, healing, and awakening process. The ego might disagree, but the ego itself is simply asleep. Okay? So if you hear something other than love, it's not because it's real or true. It's because you're asleep. And so what do you have to do? You have to take personal responsibility for what you're seeing and how you're hearing things and how you're reacting to situations. Practice taking personal responsibility. Practice stopping blaming the world outside of you. Because when you blame the world outside of you, when you blame others in the world, you give your power away to them. And thus you feel powerless and unfulfilled and like a zombie in the world. So do you want to be a zombie? Or do you want to be an angel, which is in essence a messenger of God? Your choice. Let's see. Paragraph 3, sentence 5. I will recognize in everyone my dearest friend. So who is there to fear? Imagine experiencing fear when you're invited to see everybody as your friend. So practice one day making the conscious decision to see everybody as your friend. One of the things I practice doing many a times is you practice, at least in my age group, let's say. In my age group, I see anybody who's older than me as my father and my mother. Okay, not strangers. They're my father and my mother. Everybody who's my age, I see them as my brother and my sister, not strangers. And anybody younger than me, I see them as my daughter and my son, not as strangers. Okay? When you practice doing that, you begin to see the world as it truly is, not as you've been programmed to see it by less than loving programs that we've all been taught are more real than the truth. Any comments or questions in paragraph 3? All right. These are all little beautiful little points. Make sure you think about them. And if you do, and begin to use them in your life, beautiful changes will occur. All right. Would somebody? Oh, well, no questions for paragraph 3. All right. Would somebody like to read paragraph 4? All right, we'll go ahead and read paragraph 4. Paragraph 4, which is a review of lesson 49. It's God's voice speaks to me all through the day. Amen. Okay, here we go. There is not a moment in which God's voice ceases to call on my forgiveness to save me. There is not a moment in which his voice fails to direct my thoughts, guide my actions, and lead my feet. I'm walking steadily on toward truth. There's nowhere else I can go because God's voice is the only voice and the only guide that has been given to his son. All right. Paragraph 4, sentence 1, there's not a moment in which God's voice ceases to call on my forgiveness to save me. Save, aka awaken me. Okay? There's not a moment in which God's voice ceases to call on my forgiveness to awaken me, to awaken you from the dream. How do you awaken from the ego's dream? That judgment-centric, fear-based dream. How do you do that? Through forgiveness, through trust in the divine design, the divine designer. Do so, and you will awaken from the dream. And so all you have to do is practice seeing God in all. And so when the ego says judge, what is that? When the ego says judge, use it. Use those moments as an opportunity to practice forgiveness. When the ego says doubt or fear or worry, use it. Remember, this is God's voice speaking to me all through the day. So if God's voice, let's call it, appears to be something that somebody says that produces fear in you, what do? Okay, I'm experiencing fear right now. What does that mean? How can God use this moment to help me awaken from the dream? Okay, instead of fear, I want to use this moment to practice trusting God more. Instead of anxiousness, I'm going to use this moment to practice trusting God more. And so you see, you use that anxiousness or any of the ego's tools not to sink deeper into the darkness, but instead to reject the darkness, reject the dream, and align with who you truly are, which is an expression of love in that moment. Paragraph 4, sentence 2. There's not a moment in which his voice fails to direct my thoughts, guide my actions, and lead my feet. And so all you have to do is throughout the day, practice asking God, God, what would you like me to think? What would you like me to say? What would you like me to do? Use those 3 questions over and over again, 50 times a day. And little by little, you'll start to think in alignment with the mind of God, with love. If you have any doubt, any worry, immediately go and ask God, God, how would you have me think about this situation right now? What would you have me say to my brother or sister right now? How would you have me think right now? What kind of thoughts do you want rolling through my mind right now? What kind of thoughts do you want me to entertain right now? And so you see, you're inviting God in every moment. You're consciously inviting God into every moment. And the more you practice consciously inviting God in, the more natural and normal that behavior becomes, and the more worthy you will find yourself that you are of His presence in your life, of His companionship in your life. And little by little, you start to think in alignment with the mind of God. And little by little, you become a brighter light in the world, and you start to feel more fulfilled because you're doing what God created you to do. Paragraph 4, sentence 5, there is nowhere else I can go because God's voice is the only voice and the only guide that has been given to His Son. So everything is love or a call for love. So make it simple. Another thing you can simplify your day by you keep on reminding yourself, everything is love or a call for love. Everything is love or a call for love. Everything is love or a call for love. No matter what somebody thinks, says, or does, just repeat to yourself in your mind, everything is love or a call for love. Everything is love or a call for love. And the more you do so, the more you start to react with love to whatever God presents to you, or whatever the day presents to you, you're going to answer it with love. Okay, this is either love or a call for love. That's it. A love or a call for love. I get to decide. This is love or a call for love. If it's love, you answer love with love. And if it's a call for love, you answer a call for love with love. Simple, but key. Any comments or questions on paragraph 4? All right. Would somebody like to read paragraph 5?
I want. Yes.
Thank you.
I am sustained by the love of God. As I listen to God's voice, I am sustained by His love. As I open my eyes, His love lights up the world for me to see. As I forgive, His love reminds me that His Son is sinless. And as I look upon the world with the vision He has given me, I remember that I am His Son.
Thank you.
So beautiful.
Yes, indeed it is. Okay, I am sustained by the love of God, aka I am energized by the love of God. Okay? So are you at peace? Are you at peace? Why are you at peace? Because you're being energized, sustained by the love of God. Are you joyful? Why are you joyful? Because you're being sustained by the love of God. Are you hopeful? Why are you hopeful? Only because you're being sustained by the love of God. Okay? you are not the source of hope. You're not the source of joy. You're not the source of any of love's expressions. God is. And you, as an extension of God, are here to share that with your brothers and sisters. So don't think of yourself as a source of any of that, because that really stops the source from flowing through you, from truly energizing you throughout the day. Allow God to flow through you throughout the day. What does that mean? Allow joy to flow through you throughout the day. Allow peace and the thoughts of peace to flow through you throughout the day. Entertain the thoughts of peace. That's entertaining God. Entertain the thoughts of hope and joy. That's entertaining God. That's allowing God to flow through you. That allows you to be sustained by the love of God. And so if you feel a lack of energy, why is that? Because you're not allowing God to sustain you. You're not allowing God to flow through you and throughout your day. And so if you lack energy, close your eyes. Visualize yourself underneath a waterfall and let that water flow through you. And visualize that water being love and light, being His energy. Allow God's energy to flow through you throughout the day. And remember, God is always with you and within you, forever just a choice away. Okay? No matter the ego's drama, no matter the ego's fairy tale, no matter the ego's story, no matter the darkness of the ego, no matter the drama of the ego, you're always just a choice away from thinking along in alignment with God, with love, and allowing love to flow through you, and thus allowing love to sustain you and energize you. Paragraph 5, sentence 2. As I open my eyes, His love lights up the world for me to see. And so as I choose to see the world only through loving thoughts, through the loving lens, I begin to see the world as God created it for me to look upon. Okay. As I open my eyes, as I awaken from, aka as I awaken from the dream, His love lights up the world for me to see. So if His love is not lighting up the world, it only means that you have your eyes closed and you're viewing the world through the ego's lens. And so don't blame the world for that. Just open your eyes and practice seeing it only as God would see it, through His loving lens. If you're not seeing your brother and sister through His loving lens, then you're not fulfilling your function as the light of the world. But don't punish yourself for that. Just recognize what you're doing and choose once again. I can choose peace instead of this. I can choose love instead of this. I can forgive instead of judge. I can experience peace instead of pain. Paragraph 5, sentence 3. As I forgive, his love reminds me that His Son is sinless. And so when you view the world through a forgiving lens, you see your brothers and sisters as sinless. And so that's all you need to do. If you want to drop your judgments, and so start to see the world as God will see it, you will see each and every one of His sons and daughters as sinless. So if you look upon a brother or sister, you don't see their sinless nature, you're not viewing the world as God created it for you to view and look upon and enjoy and share. Okay? The choice is yours. Look upon the world as sinful or sinless. One way of viewing it will produce pain. One way of viewing it will produce peace. Which one are you worthy of? Are you worthy of peace? Do you truly think you're worthy of peace? Then look upon everybody as sinless. If you don't look at everybody as sinless, then you are saying to yourself, I am not worthy of peace. If you judge a brother or sister, you're saying to yourself, I am not worthy of peace. If you're anxious and worried, you're saying to yourself, I'm not worthy of peace. So stop buying into the ego's lies that's true. Stop entertaining the ego's fairy tales and fantasies. Remind yourself that as God's creation, you're forever worthy of peace. And see your brothers and sisters as sinless. That's the doorway to peace.
Can I
Yes.
ask a question,
Yes.
James? Yes. In the past, I remember sharing this nice, beautiful lesson with a friend. I have the dates here, August 2016. That was like 9 years ago. Probably I was, I don't know, I remember this lesson, and this guy told me, because he's a lawyer, he said, oh, so you see in them as innocent. Remember the mind of a lawyer. But he, but your brother has caused some irritation on you. I said, yeah, but you are seeing him as innocent. I said, yes, and that will give me peace. And he was saying, but so you are allowing him to misbehave, so the message for him is gonna be, I'm okay the way I treat you. The way I treat you is you like it because you love me. It doesn't matter if I treat you good, I treat you bad. You love me. It's for him in his mind was you are allowing him to, you are, what's called when it's like you're supporting that he misbehaves. So now as the year go by, now I can still see that, but it's not, because with the time my mistaking the mistakes that we do, the mistakes that my brother will be doing to me, by either by irritation or by with the time it dissolves. It's not like he will see it unless is having some mental issues. With the time he will see like what it give the value is to the niceness, to the healthy relationship, to something that's they sustainable and it's long lasting, which is love. Because there's the truth. It doesn't impede, it doesn't, I will say that I cannot communicate, that I cannot say, hey, what you did I think was a little bit annoying or something. I still can speak, right? But as I am believing in the love and in the innocence of my brother, that gives me the power to have some wisdom, I think, on how I approach my brother, and he or she will take it as like, oh, I didn't know what I was doing or what I was saying is hurting you, or oh, actually, thank you for telling me this. But in the past, if I take it literally and I don't just do nothing out of fear of upsetting my brother, right? I would have just say that, okay, God, I see my brother as innocent, and then my brother still will be, misbehaving and throwing the door at me, and But now I think it gives this lesson gives me the strength to still speak up my truth, to still say, my brother, hey, I that bothers me, but I see you didn't intend it, because I know you care about me, same as I care about you. I know. I think the daughter. I don't know what happened. Tell me what's going on. So we still can extend. I guess it helps us to extend this communication in a loving way, and get better results and a long lasting. So I thank you. I think the more the lessons, the more the practice, the better.
Yes, thank you. Yes, you want to always act from a place of peace. You want to make peace your foundation. You want to make peace the foundation of your words. Okay? So if you make peace the foundation of your words, if you ask peace, how would you have me express to my brother what I'm feeling? Okay? There's a difference between that and allowing the ego to express itself. Okay? The ego is very reactive. It's a program that we've been taught and repeated over and over again. So it's going to try to answer first. It's going to try to put boundaries in its way, in its judgment-centric, fear-based way. But you can also say to your brother or sister, you can come from a place of peace and then share words, aka create boundaries from the foundation of peace, not from the foundation of the ego, not from the foundation of judgment and fear, but from the foundation of peace. And then when you say when you say Holy Spirit, or you say peace, what would you have me think, say, and do? Then you allow peace to speak to your brother through you. Okay? So it's not your programmed self who's speaking to your brother and setting up the boundaries. It's peace, aka God, aka the Holy Spirit, aka Christ, speaking through you, setting those loving boundaries, and speaking love through you. And if you say it with peace, if you make peace your foundation, then you will have peace. Do what brings you peace, and you will have peace. And so it's a good point to note, where are my words coming from? Are my words coming from a place of peace? Or are my words coming from a place of fear and judgment? And it's useful to consciously take control of your thoughts, because remember, the ego answers first and loudest. So just stop for a second and say to your mind, say within your mind, okay, I am now taking control of my thoughts. Okay? How do you know when you're in control of your thoughts? Because your thoughts are peaceful, loving in nature, and then come from the place of peace and share with your brothers and sisters from that place of peace. Yes, Jesus.
Yes.
First, before you say something, Mike, thank you. Mike's got to go. Okay, go ahead, Jesus.
Yes, because you were talking about when you would talk to a brother and to approach the situation, asking peace to speak through you, or what would peace say? And you then started talking just now about about this question, which is the thoughts. Because, for example, sometimes I am immersed in this, how should I say, my thoughts are not at peace. It's not, my thoughts are not at peace, and then I go through this, how, I don't know how you call it, this centrifuge, it's like that wheel that the hamsters run in, and I keep on running in this wheel, and so one day I'm better, the other day I'm not, and it's and so do you apply the same the same method to your thoughts as you do with your words?
Yes. Yeah, it's the thing is that words, the thoughts birth words.
Thoughts are what?
Thoughts birth, B-I-R-T-H,
Oh yeah. Okay.
words. Okay. So words are thoughts first,
Yes.
okay? And so, yes, you have to be very careful about your thoughts. You have to be very conscious with your thoughts. Okay, the ego's going to say, well, this is just a little thought. This is a little judgmental thought. It's okay. It's okay to judge here. But remember, all the ego's thoughts are tainted. They're tarnished with fear, with judgment. Okay? That's where they're birthed from a place of judgment and fear. And so if you don't take control of your thoughts, you're not in control of your mind, and you're not in control of your words or life. Okay? So don't underestimate your thoughts. In fact, be very serious about what thoughts you're entertaining, because they lead you either to heaven or to hell. Your thoughts will lead you to a hellish mindset or a heavenly mindset, which means your thoughts will lead you to peace or pain. Your thoughts will make you suffer or enjoy the life that God created for you to enjoy and share. And so don't ever underestimate your thoughts, because that's where your experience is birthed from. Make it a special make it a special not sure how to put this, I guess ritual, maybe. Make it a special point.
A practice.
Yeah, practice. Yeah, practice. Make it a special practice to understand where your thoughts are coming from. Okay? Because in the esoteric realm, this is not part of the course, but in the esoteric realm, they either come from heaven or hell. From good spirits, let's call it angels, or the other ones. But we don't have to worry about that right now. That's a little bit esoteric. But
well, it's also like saying from ego or from love, right?
yes, exactly. We could put it that way too. Yes, as the course would say, they come from ego or from love, from fear, aka ego, or from love. Okay, and so if they come from fear, that simply means that you are being programmed by the ego to play. You're a puppet to the ego. Okay, because those thoughts are not who you truly are. Those thoughts are not what you want, what you really want. You know, there's what you want and what you really want. Okay, and what you want is usually what the ego wants, because you've been programmed to think like the ego. But what you really want is peace. What the ego says you want is judgment, to judge your brother or sister because they're not thinking or acting like you. What you really want is non-judgment, forgiveness, peace, joy. That's what you really want. And so ask yourself those two questions over and over again. What do I want? What I really want. Okay. The ego would say, I want to be right. The Holy Spirit would say, I want to be happy and at peace. And so remember, who's in control of your thoughts? You. But if your thoughts are not loving in nature, then you're not in control of your thoughts, no matter what you think. Okay? So either you're a zombie, a puppet to the ego, unconscious, asleep, or in the same exact moment, you can decide to wake up, align with the mind of God, which is love, and offer your brothers and sisters only loving thoughts, words, emotions, energies, and actions. When your mind is aligned with love, that means that the truth in you is in control of your thoughts, your mind, and your life. And what happens when the truth in you is in control of your mind, your thoughts, and your life? What happens? How do you feel? You feel fulfilled. Why do you feel fulfilled when the truth in you is in control of your thoughts? Because you're doing exactly what God created you to do. To be a loving light in the world in each moment and interaction. That's what you were created to do. That's the only way you're going to ever truly feel fulfilled. So be love in your own unique way. We all have little gifts that God has given us. And so we all have different ways to express that love. You can express that love by being a police officer. You can express that love by being a therapist. You can express that love by being a fireman. You can express that love by being a financial advisor, whatever it is that turns you on, so to speak. Yes, Isabel.
Yes. Yeah. I wanted to say that there is a degree of honesty here, that we become aware on the purity of our thoughts as in the midst of being at peace with other people. Because it has happened to me that I am with, sitting with someone that is very spiritual, it's in the course, it's in the, doing other things in unity, chaplaincy and stuff. But I see this anger inside, there is this, I will say when we are like talking about other people, gossiping, things like that. And talking about peace and talking about love, I go like, you know, it's it's not being sincere, it's not being aware. Something is going on because talking about peace, being, someone is like generous also. I know, I'm not gonna mention names, but um I see that, it's contributing to church and everything. And I go like, but and I sometimes see that I used to be that way in the past, that I had my thoughts in my mind still like dirty, when you still think about some person and your thoughts doesn't come as nice about the situation or this person because we had interacted and I was left things I would say unforgiven. Or even if we think we have forgiven and still in our mind as this sour flavor, of the memory, to me it's like it's not done, it's an unfinished business. So I think revisiting those thoughts, to me, going back to those memories, if I still feel there is hurt, there is pain, there is memories that are not healthy, not nice, or not pure, it's still work to do. There is still work to do, not only with that or any recent situation, because every day we encounter new things to release, new encounters, new tough experiences, that new judgments that I myself also impose on somebody, new judgments that I think I'm capturing. Maybe there's not, but my mind captures something. Then I go like, I need to release this because I don't think it's a judgment. I don't think it's anything wrong towards me, but my mind is kind of like playing that, at the moment. So I think it comes to this awareness, that if there is anything in our mind and the memory of the interaction with this person, to find a way to release, to send a letter or to talk to, or because then my next interaction, next time I see her or I see him, it's going to be sweet, it's going to be nice because it's loving, it's pure from my heart, from the deepest. It's already clean, it's already forgiven.
Yes, thank you. Yes, imagine the vision that I got was imagine if every day we wake up and it's Halloween. Okay. And so each day we wake up and we have a different mask on.
Yes.
Okay. But don't punish yourself for waking up with that mask. Just practice recognizing when you're wearing the mask. Okay. And so when you're wearing the mask, when you're being judgmental, when you're being fearful, when you're being anxious, when you're feeling guilt and shame, you're wearing a mask. That's not who you truly are. Those are just programs that you've been taught as real and true. And those are programs that you're reinforcing with your time, focus, and energy.
Mhm.
But the truth is, and the only truth is, that you are love. And that your brothers and sisters are love. So don't punish yourself and don't punish others when we're wearing those masks. It's just how we've been trained to live by the ego. Just practice, practice recognizing when am I wearing that mask? Forgive yourself for wearing the mask. Forgive others for wearing that mask. Put the mask aside, put it down, align with the love that you truly are, and then offer your brother and sister that expression of love that the moment or interaction seems to be requesting. Over and over and over and over again. Practice, practice, practice. Recognize when you have the mask on. Forgive yourself for that. Forgive others for that. Place the mask down, place it aside. Reinforce who you truly are, which is love, and then act and speak from that place of love. Over and over again. The more you do so, the more natural and normal it'll be for you to act, not act, but for you to be that love that God created you to be. When you're wearing a mask, you're in essence acting, okay? When you're wearing the mask, you're acting. When you're judgmental and fearful, you're acting. When you're hateful and feeling guilt and shame, you're acting. But that's okay. Just recognize it. Forgive yourself. Ask God what to think, say, and do right now. And then think, say, and do only what God would have you think, say, and do. Over and over again. Until you recognize that God is with you and within you. And He is always just a simple choice away. I can choose peace. I can choose love instead of this. Yes, thank you. That's some good points there.
There is another mask that we could use as well, being some people mean, or let's say me. If I am in a mean, I could be in a mean state in a moment because my ego, for one way or another, put me in that position temporarily, I would say. If I use my mask of love, because, in essence, this is me, right? Or love, I'm at peace, in essence, I should be a person without those judgments, without those thoughts. But I'm trying to fake it, to make it. I think if it becomes a habit in the unconscious, right? I think we were saying that the other day. Then it becomes a habit that we always, try to be ourselves in essence, which is peace and love. Because we forgot that we are that. We are so using so many hats or so many masks that represents, who we are or where we are, depending on the situation we may be using that mask. But it's at the end, the truth of who we are is gonna come up. If I'm working for long, on bettering myself, my thoughts, on having a pure soul, that's gonna be the reality. That's gonna be one way or another seen, perceived. The energy is gonna be seen and perceived and appreciated. And I think that's the most beautiful thing, that we may not be perfect, we may not be, sometimes all the time loving and peaceful and nice, but that's our intention, our consciousness. It's becoming to the awareness. Our I will say unconscious becomes, we bring into the awareness and see that it's thoughts that are impure, that we can release or that we can cleanse. The more the habit, the better it becomes. I will say normal. It will be, like people say, organic. It's by itself. It's pure. It's nice.
Like you see a little picture that you have right there. That's who you really are.
That's the pure,
Little angel.
beautiful baby.
Yes.
Mm.
That's who you truly are. That's your truth self.
At that age, I used to use many masks when I was little like that because I felt alone. I felt so different from other kids. You know, the other kids were having their parents. I was not. I was with my uncle and my aunt. So I used masks at that age that I had to forgive and release when I was adult, and I was aware of that because one way or another I was wearing masks as well as an adult. And I learned to accept myself how I was. I was so imperfect at that age, and I learned it from other people, bad habits that it took me long to leave behind and acquire new habits.
Well, thank you very much, Isabel.
Mm.
Little by little, every day we practice putting down those masks and reminding ourselves of who we truly are, which is the love that God created us to be, and being that love.
Thank you.
Thank you, Isabel. And any final questions or comments before we close? Okay, this video will be up tomorrow on my YouTube site at 5 p.m. There were a lot of good points today made that can be very useful in life. So I would recommend checking it out. And thank you very much for your time. Thank you, Cristina, Luna, Kitty, Jesus, Lori, and Joy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
And
so much. Thank you, James.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much.